Buddy, welcome to City Sunday. I am hopping on a few minutes before because Mita and I are going to get situated and we're going to get set up. So give us a few minutes if you're on, and let's see what we're going to do. Give us one moment. Today we are going to talk about how to prioritize your mental health. Now, within our cultural context, guess what? I cannot wait to hear. I hope you guys give me feedback because mental health and Adab doesn't really coincide. So I'm really hoping that with our Community for International Adab, we can change that we can shift and destigmatize what we're doing. Welcome, everybody. Looks like Mita's hopping on. So excited to see her. Hi, Mita.
Hello, hi Tiff.
All right. For everyone that's new to our community, this is my amazing assistant, Mira, who just absolutely is such a joy for me and really runs this ship, to be quite frank. So, Mira, did you want to just say hi to everyone and introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hello everybody, I'm Mira. I'm so happy that we're doing this today.
Me too, because last week we missed it and because of a family issue. All right, let's see here. For those of you that are new to Community for International Arab, my name is Tiffany Tota. I'm a Palestinian American. I live in the United States. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I've been a therapist for over 20 years. Over 20 years. Shufti Mira?
Yeah, oh my God.
I absolutely love what I do. And my focus is primarily on Middle Eastern mental health. About 17 years ago, when I noticed that our communities had been struggling and there was little to no resources. So I decided to be a part of the solution versus complain about the problem and started this community. Mira, when did we start? Did we start in July of last year? I don't remember.
We did the end of July.
End of July. And we had really we just said we're going to put it out there. We are at almost 6,000 followers right now. So I wanted to thank each and every one of you for having the courage to take a look at yourself, to have self-awareness. This community brings me so much. It brings me hope, your DMs, your comments, your feedback, your reposts, everything that you guys do to create a healing environment. And look at this, I'm tearing up because this is what I truly believe is the reason why I do this, is because of our beautiful community and so much healing that can happen. So for everyone that's joining in, I love to see where people are tuning in from. So if you can let us know where you're from, that would be awesome. Mira's heralding us all the way from Egypt. So
Yeah.
yeah, let us know where you're from. Morocco's in the house. Thank you, Chama. Morocco. Texas. Hey, Texas. Let's see. Anybody else? Oh, Bahrain. Yep. Every week we got people from Bahrain, which I absolutely love. Anybody else? Where are you guys coming in from? Before we get started, I love to create an atmosphere, Sudanese, but I live in Egypt. Okay, Anas, thank you. Dubai, yep. Every week we've got people from Dubai. It's on my bucket list. I would love to go visit one day. All right. Anybody else that, as you're joining, first time being here, welcome. I love that. Yes. And for those that have been following me for a while, just know that everything you guys know, and for those of you that are new, whatever I say, what doesn't apply, let it fly. Meaning, if I say something and it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. Let it go. This is a community of love, compassion. Any negative comments? Mira, what do we do with negative comments?
No, we don't want bad energy. We're gonna delete them.
We have enough negative energy. We have enough heaviness in our world that we want this to be fun, enlightening. We want to have mental health, our emotional health, and our healing be a place of healing. Let's see. Big fan, Nabil from Western Sahara. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So, is it 10 o'clock yet? Oh, it's 10:01. All right. I don't want to be that out-of-be person that's always late, right? So let's get started. For those of you, think about for yourself, what messages did you receive growing up around mental health? So when hada haka in your family, mental health, if they even use that word, or if they said anything around emotional health, what messages did you receive? Mira, maybe you can help me out. What messages growing up did you receive around mental health?
Yeah, it would be like, no, there is no issue with my daughter, or there's no issue with my son. They're totally fine. What are you talking about? They're just a bit sad. It's okay. Tomorrow they're gonna be better. It's like they don't acknowledge the fact that this even exists.
That's right. So mental health in our communities typically is denied. I get a lot of comments around we don't have Arab Nafi عندنا mental health. I go, we're human beings. If you're a human being, we all struggle with mental health. So yes, let's destigmatize that. It was treated unseriously. Yes. You put pray, like you were told to pray, like if you had issues. Yes, that's very, very common. Anybody else? Told to toughen up. Yes, especially for our men. Toughen up. Yes, common theme there. All right, well, I'll share a story. So when I became a therapist, now mental health, particularly in my generation, okay, so I don't know what the age group is, but in my generation, mental health wasn't even talked about. Arab or no Arab. Nobody talked about it in those days. However, as time went on, when I became a therapist, my dad would tell people, my daughter, hey, Binti, she works ma'al majneen. Okay, how many of us heard that? Hada majnoon or hey majnoona. So when my dad would say this, قدام الناس, hey, شوفوا بتشتغل مع المجانين. Well, for those of you that have watched my videos, you guys know I was called San most of my life. And I would say, you know what, Baba? I've had a lot of practice with it growing up. So that's why I'm so good at what I do. Haha, joking. So you can see that he's inadvertently trying to put anybody who had mental health down, automatically putting it as Majnoon or Majnoon. And I want you guys to know that most Arab equate mental health with crazy. How many of you have had that? Mental health is crazy. That if you have mental health issues, that somehow there's something wrong with you. I think with the younger generations, it may be getting better, but the stigma is still very, very high. With that said, I had observed a lot of my aunties in a lot of anxiety. They would be really, really revved up. And I would say to them, hey, auntie, I'm wondering if you struggle with anxiety. How do you think she responded? Yay! Oh my gosh! ما في عندي anxiety. شو هذا الانكزايتي؟ تعرفي I'm just nervous. How many of you have heard that? Yeah? He said, I don't have anxiety, I'm just nervous. When I know within my family that there is an anxiety on the maternal side, because a lot of mental health issues may also be attributed to genetics. So I said, Auntie, it's okay. We have that. Can we work on it? But for her to admit that she had any kind of mental health issue evoked this strong response of denial, distance, and shame. And so there was so much fear that if you equate that if you have mental health issues, you're crazy. So I need to really emphasize that because you may also have those beliefs. Even though rationally you may know that everybody struggles with mental health, we all have these issues, um, that you may have to, like, I don't need to go get help. Now, let's see the comments. Any comments, Mira?
Yeah, someone said I've seen my little sister pass on her anxiety and depression to my I think she means to her smaller sister or like younger sister. It's nuts to me.
Yeah, because it's generational. So if you don't heal, what you don't heal reveals itself. So it more than likely, if you don't take the time to take care of you, any future offspring, if you decide to have children, may be passed on to them. Now, for me, in the generational trauma of my family lineage and prioritizing mental health, I was able to heal as much as possible. Doesn't mean I still don't have issues. Of course, I have issues. That for Binti, now she doesn't struggle with the same things that my generation and above had struggled with. So take responsibility not only for yourself, but for any future generations or the young children that are in your family. So let's get back to this. What happens with people within our communities that have mental health issues is that it can lead to isolation, demonization. Now, what do I mean by demonization? There are many, many stories that go with people being with mental health issues, severe mental health issues, being locked away or put locked away in the home or in the basement. I remember, and the reason why I share this is because if you struggle with significant mental health issues, my sense is you're doing a really good job trying to keep yourself together, and that could be very, very isolating. It could be, you can also retreat more and more within yourself, or you may overfunction. So you have to remember this stigma for mental health issue keeps us alone, isolated, and when they're not addressed, they get worse. That's what I'm trying to impart. By the time people from our community come see me, the mental health issue of themselves or their loved one is typically so acute and so severe because they felt like along the way they could handle it themselves, deny it, do all these things, when typically that's not, with mental health issues, that's not generally how it works. It only gets worse. So for those of you that are just, let's see, seems hard for Arabs to speak to a therapist or a trusted friend. I'm the opposite. I'm a talker. Well, Juju the cat, I love that. I'm glad you're a talker, right? Because many times it's in the stories that we share. But because for us, we keep things hidden, there's so much shame if we're not perfect, if we don't have it put together. Because what are the Nas going to say? So families, there are plenty of Arabi families that could get support from one another, but because everyone's in their isolation, they can't get support. How incredible would it be if you have a son or a daughter struggling with an addiction and you are able to have conversations or support from another Arabi family who also had a son or daughter struggling with an addiction or struggling with schizophrenia or struggling with bulimia or an eating disorder? Because also within our culture, there's so much shame that when you talk to other Arab that have the same thing, my hope is that it will remove some of that shame. Now, the more we stay ignorant around these issues, the more it decreases empathy. And so we have to remember the more aware you can be for yourself, self-care, I hate that word, but that phrase, self-care, because it's so overused, self-care, self-care. What does that even mean? Self-care is self-awareness, self-knowledge. Now, for those of us growing up within our culture, many times it's hard for us to separate who we are from what the culture tells us who we are. How many of you have had that experience? Like, do you truly know yourself outside of cultural norms, expectations, family obligations, societal messages? Let's see. You were raised to talk about feelings and raised to be independent. I love that you had that experience. That is wonderful. And kudos to your parents, Juju the cat, because that shows that your parents did a certain amount of work on themselves for you to heal. Now let's talk about, now we cannot talk about when you look at yourself holistically, it's about physical health and mental health, both. You can't just focus on one or the other. We are human beings. I created this community so we could stop suffering in silence. Now let's talk about what would prevent you from getting mental health? What would be some of the barriers that you have to obtaining mental health? Like there's so like what would keep you from going and getting help for yourself if you're feeling anxious or depressed? Anybody? What are some barriers? Anybody feel free to share? Mita, feel free to chime in.
Yeah, please. I would say that that's a great question to begin with because I think there are many things. I think one of the biggest things is just being embarrassed that people are going to call you crazy. That you're going to be crazy if you attempt to go to a therapist.
That's right. That's that. Most auto that I work with, they don't tell anybody they're in therapy. Some do.
Yeah.
Some they keep it very hidden because of that shame. Oh, I missed who said it, but somebody said financial affordability. Now, I can say here in the United States, trying to obtain therapy services through your insurance is very difficult. And private pay therapy is very expensive, especially here in California or in states where there's high cost of living. And so now you want to get a therapist that's culturally informed or culturally sensitive. I try and build a network of Arab therapists that I could refer, and I do the best that I can, but there are limited resources. So that's why this community, I'm hoping with every City Sunday Live, every Wadah Wednesday, I can offer something because there's really not much. How is it in other countries, Mira?
I think it's very hard because I believe it's the same problem with insurance and it's usually not affordable.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do with that? And this is where, how do we create communities to heal within ourselves to get that support if we can't get it through the systems that should be designed to help others, but typically they don't. They're horrible, if I could say that. I've been in the field too long. Terrible systems.
Yeah.
And so people have to take responsibility for themselves and their families. And my hope is I can offer some support around that. So we talked about, let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry you lost your father. And yes, I'm glad that it helped. So some of the barriers, let me go through them quickly. Number one, denial. We've already talked about that. Denial is I can handle it on my own. I don't need anybody. We as a family can deal with it. I don't need any help. Remember, maybe a trauma response. Okay? Because we're hyper independent. And sometimes as a culture, we would rather like cringe before we ask anybody for help. And my hope is that we can try and change that, especially when it comes to emotional support. And remember, ask yourself, who taught you how to manage emotions? Who taught you? Who taught you how to deal with trauma? Where did you learn the skills to manage mental health issues? I wasn't taught skills at all, but yet I felt like I could handle something on my own. And then it dawned on me when I went into therapy that my therapist was like, well, how would you know? I was like, well, I don't know. How would I know? So I want you to ask yourself those same things. Let's see. Muhammad said, I struggle with changing medication a lot. Well, I cannot speak on that. I mean, I can have a lot of opinions on that, but I can't speak on that because it's out of the scope of my practice. The only thing I would maybe encourage you to do is medication is one piece and it doesn't equate to skills. So if there's frequent changes, my sense is going back to whoever's prescribing it and asking them, are you properly diagnosed? Is there a proper assessment? And a lot of times, particularly for Arab, they do not assess for trauma. So at the crux of it, if you have trauma in your history, it's going to be really important you find a therapist or a psychiatrist that's going to do a thorough assessment of what you need. Because many times you're misdiagnosed and then they're medicating you for something that, let's say they're medicating you for anxiety and maybe you have ADHD. Maybe they're medicating you for depression, but you've had severe anxiety as a result of your trauma history. Now, again, medication does not equate skills. They work in conjunction together. So if you think the medication is some magic pill, you go to the doctor, they write it for 5 minutes, ma'aku, and they're like, oh, okay, 5 minutes, and then they give you a prescription. I say, hey, be very, very careful with that. Were you properly assessed? Now, I understand you want some symptom relief. Do what you need to do for that. I'm not saying yes or no. I don't have an opinion. Do what's best for you. But remember, get a proper diagnosis. Forget the diet, proper assessment. And that takes a long time. I usually assess my clients, long time to really understand what is going on for them. And then we build in other interventions because I want to make sure they're clear on what they have self-awareness. And my hope is you would do the same. Okay, let's keep going. So we talked about denial. The second barrier, cultural norms and expectations. I have lots of videos on that the family and community take precedence over yourself. I have this with my family members. I have this with my cousins, clients I work with. They will do everything for everyone before they focus on themselves. Now, this is very normal. This is our expectation. This is what we do. Now, what happens is when you keep doing everything for everybody and you don't have enough space for you, you're going to fall apart. You're going to get anxious. You may exhibit feelings of depression because you're giving, and you are not receiving. Now, receiving could be in affirmation, validation. It could be in recognition that when you keep giving and you're not seeing the results of all your efforts, well, guess what? You're going to feel low energy, low mood. So this is where you putting your mental health as a priority is you're saying, okay, because we overgive as Arab. We overgive to everybody. My tete used to knit blankets for the dog at the farmer's market. I'm showing you the daraja to how much she would give to others and never gave to herself. And this is a learned behavior. So this is for you, anybody watching this, I want you to remember, it's okay to give to yourself 5 minutes or make things easier for yourself in whatever way that is. Hiring somebody to do something if you can afford it, getting a community support group, joining a team, you and a friend, go move forward in things. It's okay to ask for help. And so and it's okay for you to give that to yourself, even if it's for 5 minutes, because the more you give to you, the more you're able to give to others. People say, Tiffany, how can you do all the things you do? Well, guess what? I come first. I put myself first. If I want to take a nap, I take a nap. I don't want to cook. And I still have that Arabi woman, you got to cook every day. And I said, if I don't feel like cooking, I don't cook. So you have to give yourself permission in these ways or if I'm obsessively going to the gym and then my body feels tired, I give myself permission not to go to the gym that day. Does it mean I'm not looking for my physical health? No, it just means I'm giving myself a break. And that's where these cultural norms and expectations, we have to do everything for everyone. And that may keep you from you focusing on you. Because when you focus on you, we're told we're selfish. And that's not true. You are self-full. The more you give, the more you're able to give to others. Please remember that. All right. And we talked about affordability and access. We've already talked about that. Now, the beauty of the internet, if for those of you that can't afford it or don't have access, or you're in a place where there's very limited resources, I have a resource sheet of all my favorite go-tos for, influencers, therapists, Gabor Mate, Dr. Ramani. And so Mita, if you DM us your email, Mita can send you that resource, and there are online resources, YouTube on the different topics. If you're interested, please DM us, and then we will send that to you. I didn't want to take too much time because I have too many resources. So please, we have so many good resources out there. With that said, you might not like what I chose, but it'll give you direction on what to look for. The other barrier is, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, is war and conflict. I think as a Western therapist, Arabia, Western therapist, it is not lost on me that with all the war and the conflict, that to focus on one's mental health is a luxury. It's sort of like we're in survival and you want me to how to ground myself. Now, I don't have the skill, the expertise, or the knowledge to even remotely talk about that. I'm going to leave that to my colleagues who have that knowledge. But even if you are in war or in conflict, I will just encourage anyone who's listening is to try and get the help that you can. Learn some skills on your autonomic nervous system. There's lots of resources online. Debbie Deb is one of them on regulating your nervous system. And even in the midst of chaos, you are able to get some skills to help keep your nervous system feeling as safe as possible. All right. Any questions so far? We talked about the...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, tell me.
So you're saying that it's important to give to yourself first, that you're able to give to others too, but are there any tips to stop feeling guilty when you do that?
No, I'm just kidding. It's sort of like the more you will feel profoundly guilty. The first time you give to yourself, or the first time you give to yourself, you're going to feel this tremendous amount of guilt. I'm going to tell you, you're going to feel what you're going to feel. I don't know if you can quite escape that, but it's the story you tell yourself that's either going to exacerbate that guilt, where you stop giving to yourself, or the story is, this feels really painful. I'm saying no to someone. It's the power of the positive no. I'm saying no to something. I'm feeling this tremendous amount of guilt. The only thing I can encourage you to do is breathe through it. Say, okay, what am I feeling guilty about? Giving to myself? What are you doing wrong? Because trust me, the person that you're saying no to, or maybe you're not even saying no, you're just delaying. You're saying, hey, I can help you, but not right now. Because many times with Arab families, urgency, lazim so we have it, right? And you're like, wait a minute, does it need to be done now? Is there such an emergency that I have to drop everything I'm doing? Haram, ukhti, she does this all the time. She's getting better. She would drop everything, run, it's sawi, and there's no emergency. I said, can you take care of everything that you need to do for you first? They will be fine. Unless it's an emergency, don't worry about it. So when you start to feel that guilt, remember, you're not doing anything wrong. You're taking care of yourself. They are fine, unless it's an emergency. And you have to remember, you'll be less resentful. So take your pick, guilt or resentment.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was very good.
I prefer to work through giving to myself, moving through the guilt so I don't feel so resentful. That energy in the body is so heavy, right? Resentment. Yeah, it's terrible. So that would be one thing, the story you tell yourself around what you're doing. You're saying, I'm doing this for me so I could be better to my kids. I'm doing this for me so I could be less resentful towards my parents. I'm doing this for me because when I'm regulated and I feel good about my life and where I'm at and pursuing what I need to pursue, then I'm going to be better for my family. But if we have the opposite. And you can see that that's not working for many families. It's not working for people. I have enough DMs and people sharing, and I said, we need to do a better job in making ourselves a priority and honoring our culture. We can do both, but it's moving through the field and recognizing that you deserve this. How's that?
That was very helpful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you understand so much the culture. So I love the way that you're saying it. You're like, we can honor the culture and we can do the things that we need to do, but we still can do things for ourselves. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was very helpful. Thank
And
you.
I practice that all the time with my own family and aging parents. That my relationship with them was strained for decades because I prioritized them and their needs over myself, and I hated them for that. But it wasn't that I hated them. Yes, I was very resentful and bitter, but it wasn't until I went on my own healing path and prioritized my mental health that I was able to have more understanding of them, that I was able to be more present, work through my issues with them, not talking to them because they weren't open to that. But it was about me staying present to, I can sit and listen, but if I'm not taken care of, I'm going to be more snappy or more jumpy or more withdrawn. So you need to assess that for yourself. All right. Now let's look at the roadmap. People say, well, what's mental health? What's good mental health? I like to move away from good and bad. Let's move out of that. I like to look at mental health as who am I at my optimum? Now, what does optimum mean? It means it's the best or most effective amount or degree of something. So some days I'm going to be at my full optimum. Some days your optimum may be, it's like meeting yourself where you're at. So think about who are you when you're at your optimum? You're at the top of your game. What does that look like? Remember a time when you were feeling like, I've got this, I've got it all together. Recall that in your body. Now, when I get a good night's rest, I'm at my optimum. When I surround myself with loving friends and family, I'm at my optimum. When I eat nutritiously, I'm at my optimum. Let's have some examples. What about you guys? What are some of the things you do to be at your optimum? To be at your best? Because we have to look at solution focus. As we typically look at the negative aspect of mental, let's look at what are some of your strengths when you're at your optimum? Anybody want to share? I'm tired of hearing myself talk. Spending time with family and friends. Thank you, DF. Yeah, I love that. When they're healthy and positive and you can laugh and have a good time. If they're toxic, probably not your optimum when you're surrounded by people that are going to judge you. But when they're loving and fun and you're having a good time and you're sharing a meal, great way to be at your optimum. Because many times we isolate. Rayan said sport, yes. So engaging in physical movement, especially movement that you find joy in. Consuming a lot of content on YouTube, that could also. No drama in my life is my optimum. Yes, no drama. Yeah, no time or desire for drama in my life. I agree. And the more you heal, the less threshold. Who wrote cleaning and organizing? I love that. You start to clean and organize, and you start to feel good about your space. Decluttering. Now, there's no judgment. Decluttering can also be very healing in your space. Being at home, yeah. Sometimes with FOMO, is that still the word, Mira? Do you guys still use FOMO?
FOMO?
Fear of missing out. Is that? Oh, no, I'm dating myself. Okay, doesn't matter. Many times you feel like you have to go out, you have to do things, you have to go out and be a part of all the activities, but maybe your inner wisdom is telling you, I just want to be at home. And being at your optimum may be giving yourself permission to just stay home and say no. Oh, but Slish, why? They start doing this, guilting you. And this is where, how do you really have self-awareness, self-knowledge to say, me being at home today is going to make me be more at my optimum tomorrow. Rayan said meditation. Yes, meditation, mindfulness, very, very good ways of being at the optimum. It's okay to not be okay. Yes, it's okay to not be okay. But I always say it's also okay to give yourself permission to work towards being okay. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. So here are some steps to prioritize your mental health and be at your optimum. Okay. Number one, this is a tricky one for many of us in our culture, is listen to your body. Your body has a wealth of information if you just pay attention to it. Before you go into an event, you may get a stomach pain. You might start to feel tension in your neck. I'm going to encourage you to be mindful and wait, why do I have a pain in my neck? When I go somewhere and I start to get neck pain, I go, uh-oh, who's going to be there that's going to be the pain in my neck? Or if I go somewhere and I start to feel like pains in my back, I start to think, uh-oh, what burdens or responsibilities going into this that I'm going to be carrying? So you developing a relationship with your body. Now, if you have a trauma history, any sexual abuse, any physical abuse, you may have been taught to stay out of your body and just check out. And I want you to know, be gentle with yourself to get back into the body. This is where it's important to work with someone. For those of you that don't have severe trauma histories, listening to your body is going to be really important. Many of us, we were taught if we had a feeling or if we expressed something, it was shut down, ignored, minimized, invalidated. So we were taught from a young age to suppress our emotions and not tune into our body. So you're going to have to work extra hard to say, okay, I'm feeling this. Let me tune into what does this signal in my body needs. Working with a therapist is very helpful in having them address that and work that with you. The other thing to remember, the body never lies. Your mind may trick you and lie to you, but your body is your signal to go, something is off. Something is not working. You're not feeling safe. Now, a great book for those of you, many of you, it's very popular. You may have heard about it or not. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. You know, if you could put that in the comments, The Body Keeps the Score, that would be awesome. And it's on the resource list that I mentioned before, where anybody that wants to understand the body's response to trauma, it's a great book around that. Remembering what we suppress gets expressed. And what does that mean? It usually expresses itself through physical illness. So this is where Dr. Gabor Mate, he talks a lot about chronic stress and impact on the body. So you want to listen to your body, because eventually you keep overriding it and you keep suppressing it, it will manifest in illness. It'll depression, increase in anxiety. So let's express it. Let's bring these emotions up in a safe way, in whatever way, through sport, through spending time with family and friends, through therapy. Oh, DF, always in a rush. Oh, always in a rush. And therapy, what kills me about TikTok, and I love this platform because I could do these things and offer service, but everybody is quick diagnosis, 7 ways to fix yourself, or these linear ways of mental health. It drives those of us in the field crazy. Therapy and mental health is slow. It is a slow process. And as a culture, we want fast. What's the fix? What do we have? It's just all this like hurriedness. I call it Arabi hysteria. And for you to really be able to slow yourself down, understand it is a slow process. A quick TikTok video, Batuki 1-2 tips. Maybe it's going to be noise after a while. I say that all the time. It takes time to heal. It takes a lot of work, a lot of self-awareness. And many times people want that instant gratification versus the delayed gratification. And I understand that. Mira, can you check the comments, please? And
Yeah.
delete that comment, please. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's keep going. Listen to your body. Any questions on that? Anybody have questions on listening to your body? All right, let me keep going. Number two, ask for help. Many times culturally, we don't ask for help. How many of you saw your moms work, 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 or your dads work, 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 and they didn't ask for help? How many of you have that experience? How many of you are struggling and you don't ask anybody for help? Is that common?
Yeah. Very common.
Very common.
Hmm.
Because if we ask for help, what's the message?
That you couldn't do it by yourself, or that you're not able to handle the things that you need to do.
That's right, that you're weak, right?
Yeah.
Or somehow you can't handle it. Well, one of the things you may want to look at is it's not a sign of weakness. We all need help. Here we are, this wonderful community, and yet we don't feel comfortable asking each other for help. How do we shift that? And it's about seeking out the people in your community, your close people, that you can practice this and say, hey, I need help. Just to give you guys an example, my friends, and these are close friends of 20 years, I didn't start asking them for help until I got a divorce. And that was the most excruciating time in my life. And I was so broken down during that time that they said to me, we have never ever heard you ask for help. And it dawned on me that all along the way, I was suffering in silence. Do not do that to yourself. People want to help you. They want to be there for you. The people that are kind, loving, and that you feel safe with, they want to help. We want to help each other because it makes us feel good. Do not rob the people in your life. When you do so much for everybody, do not rob them of not allowing them to give back to you. So asking for help. If your mental health issues are significant and it's impacting your daily functioning, I'm really going to encourage you to find the resources, if you can't afford it, online. And many times, when I dive deeper down, many of us can afford it, but we're choosing where we want to put our money. And to put money in therapy, to invest in ourselves, can be profoundly scary. But you're okay with investing in, oh, I don't know, a vacation, or thinking that's going to be the quick fix. However, you can take some, or I always make a flippant joke around all the masadi we spend on weddings. I'm like, can we take a portion of that and put it aside for couples therapy and individual therapy? So it's asking for help is really, really important. Some of you may feel like you don't deserve to invest in yourself. Please invest in yourself. All right, number 3, a positive outlet. Now, how many of you have a hobby? What hobbies do we have? Do you have an outlet outside of work, school, family, where you can restore yourself and feel restored? I remember growing up, we're first generation American, and there was no hobbies. You were cooking, cleaning, going to school, and working from a very young age. You were taking care of responsibilities. Shoe hobby. If our parents saw us doodling or coloring, oh no, they would say, you're lazy. What are you doing? Hobbies weren't encouraged. They were not encouraged. However, what makes you laugh? What brings you joy? Yes, somebody wrote therapy is good for couples. Yes, for a mediator. We'll touch base on that. So what is your positive outlet? Find a fun hobby you enjoy. Sometimes you may have to explore different things. Get outside. How are you having fun? How often are you laughing? How do you manage stress? And many times it's through positive hobbies. Not through they say, a lot of Arab women, they'll say to me, well, it's through caring for other people. And I say, no, it's about what do you do for you? It's not about taking care of your children or your family. What do you do for you that you enjoy? And many times they have to go back to when they were a little girl, or they go back to when they were a little boy, the things that they used to like to do. And social connections. If you find yourself you're isolating a lot or staying alone, that level of, even if you're an introvert, that level of isolation can also have an impact on your emotional health. All right, this one, number 4. How do we set boundaries in an Arabi household? People make jokes. ما في عنا boundaries. How do we give boundaries? Well, you need to take a look at, I talked about overgiving and giving too much. I already addressed like when to give yourself permission to sit down when you need to rest or to get up when you're doom scrolling. It is about how do you give yourself back the energy that you've been releasing. And that could be the exhaustion of your own thoughts. The only thing I can say about setting boundaries within Arabi families is, in my experience, about if I even do 1 or 2 things on my to-do list for me before I go to my parents' house, I feel better because I feel like I've gotten some of my things done versus by the time I do everything for them, I come home, I'm depleted and I don't want to do anything but Netflix binge or doom scroll. So take a minute to look at what you need to do for you, do those things, then I'll encourage you to go deal with the family stuff. Doesn't mean it's one or the other. You can do both. Number 5. Now, one of the most important things you could do for yourself is look at your daily routine. What are you doing? Are you getting quality sleep? Do you have proper nutrition? Are you moving? Or are you at home sitting around all day? And that may sound like a judgment, but I'm going to tell you, there are, whether you're Arab or not, the increases of anxiety and depression, we are in the house or in our homes more often than not. And we are meant to move. So even if you don't have the energy to leave it, put on some music, move your body, shake, do something, release that energy in your body. So let's see. Look at your daily routine. What is stressing you out? Are there things that you can minimize? Are there things on your to-do list to minimize your stress? Now, a lot of things are, for Arab in our mind, everything is a priority. Everything. That's not true. Reprioritize it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a look at what is stressing you out because people want good sleep, but if you're not at peace, you're not going to get good sleep. So how can you minimize and allow your body to reset by minimizing the stressors so you can get good quality sleep, eat, not go down the road of emotional eating, which I'll talk about in a minute. Getting outside, number 6, getting outside, fresh air, taking a few deep breaths, riding or walking, sunlight. One thing that I love and that I'm really trying to advocate, if you have those elders in your family that you can talk to, sometimes listening to their stories or sharing in their narrative of what's happened can also be a good way. You're getting out, you're meeting them, you're healing with them by getting an understanding of their experiences and how that affects you. So go for a walk with Teta, or go for a walk with an auntie, or go for a walk with an ammo or your jiddo. Go out and see how you feel with them and share in that with them if you can. I talked about movement. Physical care is just as important as emotional care and movement. Daily movement. This is what I tell my clients. Daily movement is important. Number 8, gratitude practice. Now, we typically come from a culture of victim mentality. So you have to remember, we have to catch those thoughts of self-criticism and negative thinking. I have a video on YouTube on victim mentality. Practicing gratitude of what is working for you versus focusing on what's not. Number 9, somebody already mentioned, taking mental breaks. Sometimes when my day is so busy, and this may be for you, in between clients or in between activities, I take a minute, I breathe, I connect with I'm a woman of faith, so I pray, I sit there and I ground myself and I meditate and I connect with my body to listen to my body. even then I go, oh my gosh, I need to eat or I need to drink water, right? So this is about taking those mental breaks so that you can understand what you need. 10, we've got one more. 10, nutrition. Eat well. If you are, somebody asked, number 8, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Gratitude practice. Focus on what is working for you in your life, what you did do to make strides versus focusing on what you're not doing. Because that victim mentality can destroy you if you allow it to. And you're probably doing, especially because in my work with Arab, I'm letting you know, we do so much more than we give ourselves credit for. Okay? So, 10, nutrition. When you do not take care of your mental health, this will lead to emotional eating, binge eating. We have a lot of bulimia because in our culture, because bulimia is easier to hide because you can eat, and then hide and engage in that activity. All I'm encouraging you guys is nutrition is key. The gut-brain connection, there are so many studies around that, particularly around anxiety. So if you're eating crappy food and your cortisol levels are they're flaring up because you're binging chips, cookies, heck, well, let me tell you, that's going to impact your mental health. So one of the number one things I talk to my clients about is, what is your diet? What is your nutrition? And if that's not going well, it could lead to increase in drinking alcohol, drugging with, name it, marijuana, drug of choice. It could lead to retail shopping, which I know has nothing to do with nutrition, but you will just buy to try and satiate what's underneath the emotional need that you're not addressing. And let's not forget hydration, particularly for children who may be hyperactive. Assess their water intake. For you to assess your water intake, hydration is also key with water, not coffee. As someone who drinks a lot of coffee, and as Wahda Arabiya, where it's like coffee, kul yom all day long, you really have to stop yourself because it'll increase your cortisol levels, and try and replace at least one cup of coffee or one tea or whatever it is, one energy, whatever it is you're drinking that has high caffeine, replace it with water. Number 11. Now this it's practicing personal development. Now, in this high productivity culture, I always tell my clients, if you are content with your life, then that's fine. It's not about getting more money or more status or more. Maybe you're content with the job that you're at, but your personal development, you may want to surround yourself with healthier thoughts. You may want to increase your physical health. It doesn't always have to be money, status, degrees, pursuing something. I think we've lost reading 9 books in 1 week. I don't know. There's all these things that for your personal development, you must do X, Y, Z. And I say, well, take it easy on that. I'd rather have anybody I'm working with in this community. Yes, if you doing those things make you feel good and you feel motivated and you feel a momentum in your life and you want to pursue that, awesome. If you don't, proceed with caution and focus more on being versus the doing. And we're a culture of do. I said, that's great. That's what makes us successful. But let's slow down and focus a little bit on being. And that could be a practice in your own personal development versus reading a self-help book a day. All right. So we're at the end of the live, everybody. I hope that this is teaching people something to be proud of. Well, I'm not sure. I think if I understand your question, what I meant to say was you want to be fulfilled with what you're doing. Now, there's going to be some activities that you do. There's going to be some activities that you're going to do that you don't want to do. Like there's lots of things that we do that we don't want to do that we have to do. But as far as your personal development, you want to do those activities for you, not for the family, not for what status you think you're going to get. Because if that status is not a value of yours, you're not going to get satisfaction from that. Mita, is that clear? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, it is very clear. But may I add something? Because I saw a couple of comments asking about, like, they like the topic very much, but they're asking about summary or what the eighth point was or the ninth. So may I add that it's gonna be on YouTube, so you can totally go there and you're gonna find it there under City Sunday playlist.
Yeah, I'll go over the eight. I'm going to finish this one last thought. Being
Okay.
at your people think that being at your optimum mental health means you are going to be happy all the time. You're going to be feeling good all the time. That's not true. And it's about recognizing where you're at. So, for instance, my daughter this morning said to me, she goes, "You know what, Mama? I'm feeling a little sad." I go, "Well, you know what, Habibti? Sometimes," and there was nothing really to have her feel sad. Sometimes in life, you go through ups and downs. Sometimes you're going to feel low mood. That's part of being human. But the internet will have you believe you have to be this like fully integrated mental health person, and that's not true. Part of being human is recognizing when you're not that you do the best that you can, reach for your optimum, and the more aware you have, the more these feelings will pass quickly. And it's not progress; it's perfection. So let's go over the eight. Okay, number one, listen to your body. Number two, ask for help. Three, a positive outlet. Four, set boundaries. Five, look at your daily routine. Six, get fresh air. Seven, movement. Eight, gratitude practice. Nine, taking mental health breaks and guided meditation. 10, nutrition. 11, practice personal development. Now, if you could do any one of these things and be consistent and be disciplined, my sense is when you prioritize your mental health, you will start to feel better, and you will start to feel like someone it's about feeling not only good, but you're feeling empowered to make decisions. You're feeling like you can move forward by handling life's challenges. That's why we focus on mental health. This live will be on YouTube, as all the lives are. You'll get the full context because when it's on the TikTok, we just give snippets of it. You're always welcome to go to the YouTube and watch the whole live. So before we end, let's see. Anybody have anything that they wanted to share? Or I hope this was helpful for everybody. Again, I am so appreciative of this community. Let us heal together. Let us come together to support one another in being the optimum that we are meant to be and deserve the life that we have to be more at peace and whatever that means to you. So, anybody want to finish up with some comments before?
Very helpful. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Mira.
I'm just saying thank you so much. I think that was very helpful. And a lot of the comments are saying thank you too, and they loved the topic.
Oh, I'm so glad. Hey, feel free to DM us on any topics. We're definitely open. And if you have questions, remember Wednesday is Wadeh Wednesday, and I'll be able to answer any questions we weren't able to address on the live. And we'll see you next Sunday on City Sunday for another topic on Arab, our community, and how we can move forward with more positive mental health. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day in what you're doing. I appreciate you, and take care.